It's your boy Tater Too Real, where we always keep it too real. And today, guys, I want to compare Jayden Daniels and Shedeur Sanders. Now, the reason why I'm comparing Jayden Daniels and Shedeur Sanders is because I feel like Jayden Daniels is the most underrated quarterback in all of college football. I mean, everybody's talking about Caleb Williams, Shedeur Sanders. They're talking about Drake May, Michael Penix. But I'm here to tell you guys that Jayden Daniels is actually the most impressive quarterback in all of college football. And there's a reason why he's number 2 right now in the latest Heisman rankings, and he's doing it in the SEC. So I'm going to tell you Jayden Daniels stats, and I'm going to tell you Shedeur stats. First, let's start with Jayden Daniels. Jayden Daniels is in his 5th year of college football. He was at Arizona State for 3 seasons, and this is year number 2 for him at LSU. And so far this season, Jayden Daniels have 2,294 yards passing, 22 touchdowns, and 3 interceptions. Also, he has 515 yards rushing and 4 touchdowns to go with a 90.5 QBR, which is 4th in the nation. And the reason why that is so impressive, guys, is because the level of competition in which he is doing it against. The SEC is highly regarded as the best conference in all of college football, and when you look at the NFL draft every year, you can see why. I mean, the fact that this kid is just getting better and better every game I see him is absolutely crazy. And I know a lot of people are going to give me heat for saying this, but I truly believe Jayden Daniels could be a better version of Lamar Jackson in the NFL if he is drafted to the right team. Trust me on this. Come back to this video and thank me in the future. But moving on, I like to see how quarterbacks play in the games that they lost. That shows me a lot about their character. That shows me a lot about their mental toughness. So let's look and see how Jayden Daniels did in the games they lost. Currently, LSU is sitting at 5-2 with losses versus Ole Miss and Florida State. In the loss versus Ole Miss, a score in which it was 55-49, Jayden Daniels had 414 yards passing and 4 touchdowns, also had 99 yards rushing. In a loss versus Florida State, week 1, ranked team versus ranked team, LSU will go on to lose to Florida State 45-24, a game in which Jayden Daniels had 346 yards passing and 1 touchdown, also had 64 yards rushing. And so far, they also played Auburn, Mizzou, Arkansas, Mississippi State, and Grambling. So like I said before, guys, LSU has played the harder schedule compared to Colorado and Shedeur Sanders. They already played a ranked FSU team. They played a ranked Ole Miss team as well. And Mississippi State, these other teams are tough as well that they played. So all in all, Jayden Daniels is playing out of his mind. His QBR indicates that he's getting the job done. He's making his progressions, he's making his reads, he's making the smart plays, and he's playing efficient football. So my vote is Jayden Daniels, but I'm going to talk about Shedeur Sanders. I'm going to give him the respect because what he is doing at Colorado right now is absolutely unbelievable. And it is more the reason why he needs to come back for another year. Let all these guys go and get drafted now. I mean, the quarterbacks, like the Drake Mays, the Caleb Williams, the Jayden Daniels, all these guys, let them go in this draft and get drafted. Shedeur Sanders will be the number 1 quarterback in the nation if he comes back for a year. Also, Colorado will be going to the Big 12. They will be the top dog in the Big 12 because Texas and Oklahoma will be going to the SEC. So if you're Shedeur Sanders right now, you let this year play out. You let your dad go back in the transfer portal, get some dogs on that O-line and D-line, and continue to build out that roster. And I'm telling you right now, guys, Shedeur Sanders can put up some crazy numbers next year because Colorado is deep and talented at the receiver position, and Travis Hunter will be back. So now let's dive into Shedeur Sanders and his numbers so far this season. The Colorado Buffaloes is currently sitting at 4-3, and so far this season, Shedeur Sanders has 2,420 yards with 21 touchdowns and 3 interceptions. The main thing that jumps out is those 21 touchdowns. He's been absolutely balling this year. And we all know that Colorado just don't have the roster yet to compete with the big boys. Also, Shedeur Sanders has a 72.0 QBR. Now, for those of you that don't know, QBR indicates the efficiency of a quarterback. So you want to be between The good quarterbacks are between 88 and up. Shedeur Sanders is at 72 right now. Now, that can have a lot to do with the offensive line. He's under pressure a lot. He's getting sacked a lot. So he's rushed on some of those decisions. So that has a lot to do with that QBR, in my opinion. It's not because he's playing bad football. The kid has been lighting it up so far all year long against USC. The only bad game that he really had was against Oregon. A game in which he was just outmatched, outpowered, out everything, right? Oregon clearly had the better team. They had the more physical team. Now, let's look at what Shedeur Sanders did in his losses. In that loss versus Oregon, Shedeur Sanders had 159 yards passing and 1 passing touchdown. Also, he had negative 34 yards rushing. Now, like I mentioned earlier, the offensive line got absolutely destroyed versus Oregon, so he was under pressure all night, and that has a lot to do with his QBR being a 72. Now, let's move on to another loss he had against USC. He actually played very well versus USC, a game in which Colorado lost 48-41. Shedeur Sanders will go on to pass for 371 yards and 4 touchdowns. Also, he rushed for 50 yards and another rushing touchdowns. Now, there were a lot of people talking about this USC game. A lot of people went out there and said that USC pretty much took their foot off the gas and just kind of played sloppy towards the end. They could have probably hung 70 on Colorado. I don't know how true that is. I think Colorado played their asses off and came back. But now let's move on to Stanford. Now, this Stanford game is pretty weird. If you did not watch the game, Colorado was up 29-0 at halftime. Shedeur had his, I want to say, publicist, his team or whatever you want to call it, post his merch on his page during halftime. And I guess the Stanford players found out, got motivated, and Stanford will actually come back and win the game in double overtime, 46-43. Now, Shedeur Sanders balled out in this game. Shedeur Sanders passed for 400 yards and 5 touchdowns, Also had 37 yards rushing. Now, Shedeur Sanders has been consistently balling all year long. I'm not going to sit up here and tell you guys that Jayden Daniels is way better than Shedeur Sanders, because that is just not true. I will say this, as a pure pocket passer, Shedeur Sanders is probably a little better, but as an overall quarterback, running, passing, making great decisions, I will probably have to give that to Jayden Daniels. He's doing it in the SEC, even in the games that LSU lost. Just like Shedeur Sanders, Jayden Daniels has balled out. Look at the game versus Ole Miss. He had almost 100 yards rushing. He did it with his arm. He did everything possible for them to win that game, and they still lost 55-49. That is not on him. That is on the defense as well. So you guys let me know what you think about this comparison. Is Jayden Daniels better than Shedeur Sanders? Or am I wrong wasting my time making this video because Shedeur Sanders is way better? This is your boy Tater Too Real, where we always keep it too what? Too real. Holla.